What I have here is the Hulk 3D that I printed. This is in chunks, and of course this is a replica of this. I printed this on the 3D printer in one go, and it turned out pretty well. This is the first print, so it's not exactly the best because I limited the amount of plastic that I could put in, but I was thinking, how can I make the sculpture of the Hulk that I did in terracotta be the same size? When you first scan it, it actually scans it the same size. So this is what I have. I used meshmixer and I cut it into individual parts. And today in this video, I'm going to show you how I'm going to be putting it back together. So here's the slice of this leg. The base, I had to slice it into fours. So you have this here, and then this part goes here, and then you can see I have a different color plastic for the torso, and it goes here, and then of course you have the arms. So in order to do this, I'm going to just start gluing from the base up, and hopefully this is going to work out fairly well. I'm kind of pleased with the results. You do have to do some cleanup, and then afterwards we're going to have to fix the seams. And I think what I'm going to do is melt a little bit of the white plastic and fix the seams that way. But first I'm going to just use some Gorilla Glue to put this all together. And I think probably the first thing I might do is maybe glue this guy. So we just have to make sure that it's absolutely perfect. You don't need a lot. And I'm just going to make sure that it's really perfect here. While this is drying, I think I'm going to join this section. So this is the part where the Range Rover or Land Rover is here. You do have to clean up several sections here. So I'm just going to take a knife or a spatula. I'm just going to cut this. This one's kind of dirty. So we're going to join these two halves. This is the back side of the Hulk. You know, I didn't realize that you could do this with a 3D print, but it's so much handier making things that are not just toy size. I have the Hulk completely glued in. You can see the seams right here, right over there. It's not perfect, but we are going to be fixing this right up. And the way we're going to fix this is something I've used for fixing motorcycle plastics, and I have filament from the 3D printer, like scraps from the end of the rolls. And I have I guess this is like a solder. It makes kind of like a nasty smell, but we should be able to fill this up and glue. Look at that, it melts it so easy. And we're going to do this throughout the entire sculpture and melt it. You could actually sculpt it a little bit as you're doing this as well. Even though this kind of looks kind of ugly, when we sand it, it should not be as nasty. By the way, super glue is a lot better for this process, to glue it together. Nasty looking area. Next step, guys, I have the Hulk. It dried overnight, and this is the paints I'm going to use. It's Modern Masters bronze metallic paint, and this is the patina spray. So I'm going to go ahead and coat this really quickly with this. This is kind of like an expensive paint, so I'm always a bit worried about using it. Make sure you shake it because the metal particles need to be... But I really like how this looks. And this darker paint is going to be able to... You're going to be able to hide a lot of the seams. So while this is wet, you have to spray the patina on there. So just get a really nice thick coat. Just doing this and the paint is still wet, I'm going to go ahead and simply just throw a coat of patina on there in the hopes of not having to use too much of this paint. Just make sure that I get all the white spots. I'm missing just a little bit here. It's kind of difficult getting in some spots, so I just kind of did this to a brush, just cut it, just kind of tossing it in here. We could always go back and add a little bit more. So this is the patina, and I'm going to spray it just all over the place. You're supposed to spray it while it's wet, and this is going to make the sculpture age. So guys, I'm going to fast forward this and you're going to see this being aged in real time. Well guys, this is the final sculpture, the Hulk finally 3D printed. This is in fact a 3D printed object that I stitched together, and I can't believe it. It was pretty difficult. It actually took longer to print this in the 3D printer that I have over there than it did to actually sculpt. But I'm pleased with it because I got rid of the terracotta, and often when you put a sculpture inside the kiln as complex as this, you just don't know if it's going to break parts. And I was surprised that when I put the original Hulk in the kiln, the arm didn't break. It pretty much worked as an entire unit, so it fired perfectly. But as you're looking around here, this is that metallic paint. It turned out pretty well. It's drying, but I can still touch it. The one thing I'm going to say is if you wanted to have a little bit more of an aged look, you might want to consider putting in just a little bit of shoe polish. Shoe polish makes it a little bit darker, but it also tones things down. So if a part is a little bit too bright with all the coloring and you want to tone it down, you can just like rub it. Another thing to do after this is to get a wax, maybe a carnauba, and just kind of put it on it. I do that for terracottas, but because this is a 3D print, I don't think it's really needed. But as far as anything else, the one thing I'm going to say is that 3D printing, I was thinking about getting different color and printing it. I don't think that's really that necessary. White filament is perfect because if you're going to do painting, that's the best to go straight into painting. So with the 3D prints, it makes everything robotic. But when you have something that you can print and then paint, it gives it a different quality. It gives it a handmade sort of quality that I like. So even though this is 3D printed, it's still got a certain character. But that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you liked the video. Make sure you hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.